Ladies and gents, welcome back to another episode of the Den FM. We have a big episode in store today. The great man, Ash Keillah, the friendly pirate, is joining us, running through his journey so far from surfing accidents and a little bit of cooking action. So can't wait to share it with you all. Joining us from Byron, here he is. Hey, how are we?
What's happening?
What's going on?
Just got out of the surf, salty as usual.
Looking salty, mate. Look at that salad.
Mate, this is a full salad. This is I need to had it before I went and had a chat. I was a salty mess.
Yeah, you're looking the goods, mate. So is this your standard day today? A little bit of surf action and then tune up for the rest of the day?
Oh, well, this morning was training. I did some training on the Gold Coast. So I'm doing some sort of surf-specific training, but on land, like a lot of body movement, body weight stuff, and a bit of mental coaching as well. And then straight into the surf from there.
Super. That's real interesting, man. So what's the surf-specific stuff? Just working on the guns, or?
No, quite the opposite. I got to tone down the guns.
Too much.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be top heavy at all. So that's I'm working on just being really light on my feet. A lot of jumping and landing really smooth, really soft. To be good on my knees and sort of help me get better at airs as well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I know your story's kind of been well publicized, but do you want to kind of maybe just briefly run through the kind of journey of what happened over the kind of past few years?
Yeah, I mean, where to start? Starting, I guess, with losing my eye. And actually, even before that, I had my mother committed suicide a year before I actually lost my eye. So,
heavy, man.
Pretty heavy time. But sort of through all that, I was already sort of learning how to be positive and try and take the best out of everything I could. And then out of nowhere, losing my eye, getting the eye injury and then losing my eye, that was like a crazy couple of years, that's been kind of pretty well televised. I think a lot of people understand what happened there, but just in between two people fighting up on the Gold Coast, wrong place, wrong time. The fight had nothing to do with me, and someone threw a glass and it got me straight in the eye. And then about a year of operations, and they ended up having to take my eye out.
Yeah, and the thing that I love, man, is that positivity. Like you said, you were working on it kind of before it, but I guess it kind of really would have tested your positivity when you start going through an ordeal like that, and especially with your mum as well. What specifically were you working on to keep positive? Is there any certain things that you were working on specifically to keep the optimism up, or is it more of a mindset?
No, for me, there was actually a lot of work. It was a lot of in the water, a lot of surfing time, but then it was a lot of podcasts. I started just listening to podcasts. I got into a guy named, I don't know if you know, Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I got into a lot of his stuff, and I got into like a lot of the older Joe Rogan stuff, and a lot of like people from there, like Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and like anyone that was sort of nutrition and mental clarity and all that sort of stuff that it wasn't like overnight. Like overnight I was just like a super positive, like stoked guy all the time. And it just took time. And the more things I listened to and the more things I read and learnt, the more it sort of cultivated that for me. So.
Yeah, I love it, man. And the more like I kind of read about you and stuff, the more I really appreciated how big that was, just like keeping positive through everything and always looking for the best in every situation. And I think that's like such a cool thing to have and live by, is just always kind of looking for the best in every situation and striving to be better and happier and more positive. And I kind of like, I was following you for a long time and I really loved what you're about, but I remember you put a post up announcing that you're getting back into competitive surfing, and that was huge for me, because I loved that you were saying like, oh, just like go out and have a surf, but it's more than that. It's more like holding yourself accountable and having
Yeah.
something to strive for, having that purpose. So I was kind of hoping you might be able to shed some light on what it was specifically that you were going through. Because a lot of people probably don't understand that. Like, I know you mentioned something about like, oh, it probably looks like I've got the perfect life, and I do, but like having that purpose and something to work towards and a commitment for something is massive, I reckon. And I loved it.
Oh man, it's huge for me, and I didn't realize, because I always did, like I always wanted to surf and compete, and I would kind of like half-ass it. I'd do a little bit of training, and I'd try and work on my boards and all that sort of stuff, and I'd just be like half in it. And when all the stuff was happening with the MKR and like getting into like a serious long-term relationship, and a lot of that stuff took my focus away from surfing. And even though it was a half focus, I realized that would keep me really motivated and really stoked. And when I like sort of sat back and thought, what's eating at me recently? Like everything is going right. I'm stoked. Like I'm making money off social media. I'm doing TV stuff. I get to surf a lot. I'm in an amazing relationship. I've got good friends. Like it seemed like everything was perfect, but I was getting up flat. I was dragging my feet, and I was eating good. I was exercising, like, but it was I was actually watching, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was just something about tennis, and it was nothing to do, like I play a little bit of tennis, but not a tennis player. But it was someone talking about their passion and their purpose. And I was with my partner, Stacey, and I started tearing up. I was like, that's it. Like I'm missing my actual real passion and purpose. And I knew it 100% as soon as I started thinking about it. It was surfing. That was something I'd always wanted to do. And that was probably a couple of months ago when I decided on that. And it's just like, now I've got like already a couple of paying sponsors on board. I've already done 3 contests. I'm training every couple of days. I'm in the water every single day. Like, and I'm so much more stoked.
Huge, man. And I can't remember if it was in that post or in something else, but you said like you competed before, but you were competing for the wrong reasons. But now you're competing because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm competing because like it honestly feels like that's what I was meant to do for so long, and I'd never really given it my all. And being I'm 34 and just starting to compete in surfing seriously, and like that was making me nervous. But then I start looking into other athletes that are 10 years older than me, plus like Slater's one example. Obviously he's a freak, but the way like everyone trains these days, everyone's diet, you can be healthy and like competitive 50 plus, I think. So I've got a lot of years on me. Yeah, and it just depends how you treat your body. But it's got me so excited, so fired up every day. I know, like, I'm up at like 5:30. I'm either stretching, watching surf movies, or trying to get down to the surf before everyone. Yeah, so it's sick.
How epic is that, man? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and it's
so. Yeah,
I could like I think everyone has like a passion and a purpose. It might not necessarily be an athletic one, but once they find it, like the drive is there. Like it's not hard to set an alarm once you find that purpose, and that's what I've felt like. Like I'm setting an alarm for 5 every morning, and even when it's I think a couple of days, because I live out of Bangalore now, it's been like 5 degrees, 4 degrees in the morning. It's been pretty freezing. My wetsuit's dripping with like ice water.
But nothing worse than a cold wetsuit. wet wetsuit.
But I'm feeling so grateful that where I'm at in my life, I'm getting the opportunity to put 110% into it. And I'm stoked.
So what does that look like day to day then? Like if you're looking at it from a more long-term perspective, and you need to, if you look after yourself, then you can compete like 50 plus. What is that specifically like? Is that in the diet and the training? Is it a combination of both? What makes it accessible, I guess?
What do you think makes it like possible?
Possible, probably a better word.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's I have a tendency to go like all or nothing, and for me, it's more to build into like a steady pace, and like so. it's basically, it's easy for me to sort of break down more so in a weekly what I'm doing, and it's so I'll do 2 like training sessions with surfing on the land, which is the more specific movement stuff, and then I'll do 2 coaching sessions with a filmer on the beach, and we'll do heat drills and stuff like that, and then it'll be surfing, stretching every night, diet pretty much on point, even though me and my chick cook some pretty decadent stuff. We've definitely tried to like tone it back recently, because I can't surf with a big belly. Yeah. So that's basically me like slowly ticking off every week. So I've done 3 events in the last month, which I wasn't going to compete till October. My plan was to start in October when I felt like I was really ready, up to scratch, because the standard in surfing these days is just insane. Everyone who competes surfs amazing. So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but at the same time, I'm happy I did, because I learned a few basic things I'm gonna sort of have ready to go once I hit the WQS in October.
So October's the I was going to say, what lies ahead then? What's like the kind of trajectory with the plans? Because the events that you're doing here, they're not the QS.
So the ones I've just done, they're not QSs. They're the Queensland series events, and then a local Byron one with lots of QS guys in them. So the standard's really high.
Yeah.
So that they were just testers. I've got another one at the Alley in a couple of weeks, I think it is. And then the QS is starting in October. So there's 4 events. There's 2 in West Oz, 1 in Port Stephens, and 1 in Phillip Island. And then I think I'll jet off to Taiwan right at the end of the year and do the last event for the year, the one that I can get into, because I've got no ratings, so I'm going to just try and push for all those events. And then after that, I'm going to see where I'm sitting when it comes to my points and how I'm feeling surf-wise. And I'm either going to go straight to Hawaii in January and do the Sunset Comp and then the Vulcan Pipe, or if I'm not feeling like I'm really up to that like psycho level just yet, I can hang back and do a bunch of Australian events, and then hopefully get into the big ones in Newcastle and Manly come March.
Awesome. So I think I love it so much, man. Like the passion and the direction and like the determination. And I think one of the huge things that you got in your favor is in that documentary I watched a while ago, that that crew made the Flamingos or something, like documentary on your story. Yeah, Flamingo Amigos, that's it. Like awesome documentary on your story and whatnot. But you mentioned that you were like, you just, because of what you've been through, you're kind of less compassionate towards people that kind of don't have things going for them, and you're more grateful for just being able to surf. So you're heading out every day regardless of what it's like.
Yeah.
And I think especially for competition surfing, that's essential, like, because whatever the conditions are on the day, you kind of need to be out there, they're not always perfect.
Yeah, I found out the hard way the last couple of events I've already done. It's been like, because I'm like bigger for a surfer. I'm 6'1" and I'm 83 kilos, and that's probably 20 kilos on most of the professional surfers, especially in the WQS level. So I'm like really putting some effort into the small wave stuff, because that's where I struggle the most. But it's fun to me, especially knowing that I will compete in it. There's no doubt that I'll end up competing in some terrible wave. So every time I'm like, I'm just going to go there and just do one little turn or work on one little air, and it's like this full fulfilled session each time. So it's sick.
So epic, man. Yeah. And so where does the cooking kind of come into it then? Is that from a past life, or is that something that's kind of come in more recently with the focus on the diet?
I feel like I've had several past lives already.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like me and my partner always cooked, but not to the level of probably being on a TV show.
Yeah.
My partner Stacey will say, I get like overconfident with certain things, and we got the call up that we'd gotten into the show, and she's like, "Are you kidding? Like, we can't cook that good." Like, I was like, "Well, we got a month. We're gonna have to learn." So we ended up like crash coursing in cooking a lot of stuff, and just I wanted to just have that experience. It was going to be a bit of fun. It was way more intense than I expected as well. Like, we were doing, one of the days we filmed for 26 hours. So we started just before sunrise, and then finished the next day at, I think, 7 a.m. or something ridiculous. That was like, So if you see people start arguing in a reality TV show, it's not necessarily, it's not fake. It's people are tired, hungry. Lots of people, me and my partner didn't drink on the show. Lots of people were on the wines all day, and like you're sitting at a table for what people think is like an hour on MKR, and you're there for like 14 hours.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So like you can imagine, like the show looks so intense, but 14 hours of 10 people sitting at a table, people are going to say some stuff in that time. Like, and especially people start just niggling at each other and hassling each other so hard.
Yeah.
Me
Probably
and,
what they're going for in reality TV.
yeah. So that was funny that they cast me and Stacey because we stayed right out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty passive character I get from there.
Yeah, look, I can get fiery. I'm not going to lie, like, especially in the surf now. I realized recently that I was actually being a bit too passive in the water, and like with all the competitive surfers, I was sort of realizing I've got to sort of up my aggression game a little bit.
Yeah, but, you are a pirate after all.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm too friendly sometimes, and I'm trying to work on maybe firing up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, most of the time pretty passive.
And so what was I kind of read a couple of articles there, and it said you were traveling around quite a bit before. I guess the sense it was quite a while ago, but you were working overseas or something. Is that right? So traveling's always kind of been a big part of your life. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, a lot of traveling for surfing, and then just traveling with mates that I've met. Be like, do you want to come on this trip? Or like, I ended up going to like Sweden and Norway just because of a mate who was like keen to go check it out, and just sort of made friends that way. And yeah, it was, for me, that was a big. So I grew up kind of in Coolangatta, which is like kind of a surfing hub, but it's also a really small town vibe of like it feels like a lot of people
Australia
from Coolangatta, like you can. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like really small town. And once I started traveling from there, I was like, whoa, like I need to get out of here. Like, I need to hit the road. Like Coolangatta is a beautiful spot, but you can get so like stuck in like a rut there. And I realized that the more I traveled, the more I saw, and the more people I met, the less I was in a rut.
Yeah,
so it was good.
Sure, man.
I was working. I look back on it now, and like it was funny and fun, but like for me, I could never do that again. Like that was like such a full-on job in a full-on surf town. Like it was intense.
That's kind of the polar opposite to your life now, almost. And you mentioned everyone was drinking. You and your partner weren't really drinking. Is that as a result of the things you've been through? Does partying still have a role in your life, or are you kind of through that now?
No, like partying probably for me, like because I saw people so like loose and out of control that I started to sort of push back against that. It took a while, but like I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be like that. And then I'd say maybe like 3 years ago, it sort of hit me that I just wanted nothing to do with it. Like I'm happy to have a wine with dinner and like have like a fun like little couple of drink lunch with friends, but that's about as far as I can go when it comes to partying. Like especially right now, it's 8 o'clock and I'm like, oh, because I'm up at 5 the next day anyway. So.
Yeah.
I feel like a full grandpa.
Yeah.
I'm getting married in September as well, so that's grandpa mode. It's obviously like once you. Yeah, I'm excited. It's not far off now.
When did you say? November. Oh, and you're doing all the food.
You're breaking up a bit.
Oh, it must be the connection up here.
So are you breaking up a little bit?
Still coming through all good?
Yeah, you're all good. Yeah. You're a bit static.
Oh yeah. Or maybe I need a more fleeting angle. Well, I think it's a pretty cool kind of wind things down anyway. So the rest of the year you're heading off chasing the comps and whatnot and tying the knot, keep you busy.
Yeah, tying the knot, training a lot, surfing, hanging with mates. Lots of training, but which I'm looking forward to. At first, it was a little bit daunting, especially I started sort of researching the standard of the guys I'm going to be competing against, and I was like, well, I got some work to do. But now
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Yeah. But now I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Like
and it kind of becomes a lifestyle, doesn't it, when you get into the groove of it?
yeah, big time. On like I can go 110% and be absolutely psycho with surfing, and then all my other stuff will drop off. Like I'll lose like a good relationship. I won't be able to keep that balance. So now I'm working a lot more on the balance at the same time.
Yeah, I love it, man. Positivity, purpose, and balance. Three
Yeah,
key
loving it.
takeaways. You're living and breathing
Yeah,
it, mate. Really appreciate you jumping on the line here in the chat.
yeah. No, you're breaking up again. Sorry, Ledge.
Yeah, we'll wind it up there, man. I really appreciate your having a chat and
All right, wind it
just
up.
the inside scoop. On you, mate. Take care.
Catch up.
Yeah, brother. You. A couple of technical difficulties there, cutting it short. We'll get him back on the live soon to keep us in the loop with his surfing progression. Love the positivity and the purpose that he's brought to the table with his newfound direction with life after the incident, and also with the cooking. Exciting times ahead for Ash. So jump over there and give him a follow and get behind his journey. Once again, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of the Den FM. Take care.